After every election, it seems like all we hear about is the working class.
Right.
But I always kind of wonder, like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Like, especially these days.
It's such a huge question.
Yeah.
And I think it's especially a huge question if you're the Democratic Party right now, trying to figure out what just happened.
Yeah.
This interview that CNN did with Sherrod Brown after he lost in Ohio
Oh, yeah.
is really interesting
Uh-huh.
because this is a guy who has appealed to these voters for
Right.
his entire career.
Yeah.
And he's really blunt about what he thinks went wrong,
Hmm.
both for him and for the Democrats.
So to really break this down, like, we're going to be pulling from a bunch of different sources today.
Absolutely.
So we have the CNN article itself.
Yep.
We've got some exit poll data.
Uh-huh.
And we even have some numbers from Ad Impact about how much money was spent on ads
Yeah, that's right.
in this race.
That's right.
So really trying to get to the bottom of
But what happened?
what happened.
And why?
Yeah, and what it means maybe for the future.
Exactly.
So one of the things that really jumped out from the CNN article is Brown talking about just the power of Trump.
Yeah.
He basically says Trump plus money equals a loss for Democrats.
Right.
I mean, is it really that simple?
Well, I think when you look at the exit polls, Trump's performance among non-college educated voters was really strong, which is a key part of that working class we're talking about.
Right.
And I mean, do you remember that ad that Trump ran?
Oh, yeah.
That was like everywhere.
Yeah.
Where he basically told voters that a vote for Sherrod Brown is a vote against me.
Yeah, that was everywhere.
It was a very, very deliberate strategy to connect Brown with everything that people didn't like about Trump.
Right.
And it wasn't just coming from Trump himself.
Yeah.
A lot of attack ads from the GOP were doing the same thing. And when you look at the ad impact numbers, it's pretty stark.
Yeah.
The GOP actually outspent the Democrats in this race by almost $20 million.
So was it like a perfect storm kind of situation?
It might have been.
Because it's interesting because Brown doesn't just blame Trump, right?
Yeah.
He also criticizes the Democrats for not doing enough to connect with those anxieties.
That's right.
Particularly around the economy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, one of the issues he brings up is NAFTA.
Yeah, and NAFTA has this whole long and complicated history with the American worker.
Right.
So it's become this symbol for a lot of people about their anxieties, about the economy.
So it makes it a really powerful thing to bring up in a campaign like this.
Absolutely.
But it wasn't just NAFTA he's talking about.
Yeah.
Talking about wage stagnation.
Yeah.
He talks about how Democrats had a really hard time countering the Republican messaging around inflation.
That's right. And especially that whole thing about inflation being transitory.
Oh, gosh.
Do you remember that?
Oh, my gosh.
Early on.
I feel like everything was getting more expensive.
Yeah.
Every single day. And we were being told, oh, it's no big deal.
And it's temporary.
Even Biden himself later admitted
that
that was a messaging mistake.
Yeah.
So you have to wonder if you're struggling to make ends meet.
Right.
Do you even feel like the people in power get it?
Right. Are they even on your side?
Exactly.
If they're not even acknowledging the reality of what you're dealing with.
Exactly. And that kind of leads us to another thing that Brown brings up.
Yeah.
Which is what he calls the culture wars wedge.
Yeah, and it's kind of ironic.
Yeah.
Right? Because Brown has made his whole career about fighting for workers.
Right.
About economic fairness.
Absolutely. Labor rights is his thing.
Right. And yet he's being portrayed as out of touch.
Yeah.
On these social issues.
It's a classic strategy.
Oh, great.
And the GOP really went all in on it.
Yeah.
Especially around trans issues. Over $33 million was spent on ads that referenced trans issues.
Just in Ohio?
Just in the Ohio Senate race.
Like, imagine seeing an ad over and over. It says 6 more years of Sherrod Brown. He's for they, them, not you.
Oh, wow.
Like, that is harsh.
Yeah.
And it's very effective.
It's like weaponizing these issues.
It is.
Right? It's forcing people to pick a side between economic anxiety and cultural anxiety.
That's right.
And, Brown, he tried to fight back.
Yeah.
He talked about fact-checking.
Yeah.
He tried to point out that these ads were really misleading.
Right.
But it seems like they still did some damage.
For sure.
And, you have to wonder, are the Democrats even playing the same game when it comes to these cultural issues?
Yeah. Are they really engaging with them?
Right.
Or are they just sort of hoping they go away?
Right. Are they dismissing them as bigotry and hoping they'll go away?
Exactly. And what does that mean for the future of the party if they don't figure that out? I mean, that's a big question.
Right.
That we have to think about. I mean, it makes you wonder, like, are the Democrats even connecting with voters in the right way?
Yeah, like, is it the strategy? Is it the messaging?
Right. Are they speaking the right language?
Yeah, is it the whole thing?
Yeah.
And it's even more interesting when you consider that Brown himself hasn't ruled out running for office again.
Right.
I mean, he lost this race.
Right.
But he's not saying he's done with politics.
It's a good point. What do you think that tells us?
Yeah, what does that tell us about his mindset?
Yeah.
About maybe where he sees the party going?
I think it shows how much he believes in these issues.
Yeah.
Like, he's not going to let a couple of setbacks make him stop fighting for the working class.
But it also feels like he's saying the Democrats need to do some real soul searching.
Absolutely. Like, this isn't just about changing the messaging a little bit.
Right.
It's about maybe changing direction altogether.
Yeah.
Like, remember what he said about the judge striking down Biden's overtime rule?
Yeah.
He saw that as like a textbook example.
Of Republicans putting corporations ahead of workers. And he felt like the Democrats weren't making a big enough deal out of it.
It's like they're not focused on the things that actually matter to people's lives.
And he's calling them out on it.
Yeah.
He's basically saying these are the bread and butter issues.
Yeah.
These are the things we should be fighting for.
So if Brown is saying he's not going to let these issues be ignored, what should the Democrats be doing differently?
Right.
Like to actually fight for these voters?
Yeah. Is it policy?
Yeah.
Is it messaging? Is it something else entirely?
I mean, is it all of the above?
It's probably all of the above.
Right.
It's not a simple answer.
Right.
But I think they have to start with developing policies that will make a real difference in people's lives.
Yeah.
Then they have to figure out how to talk about those policies in a way that connects with people's concerns.
Right. Like, how do they craft a message that really resonates?
And how do they show voters that they actually understand their lives?
Right. It's about connecting on a personal level.
It feels like the Democrats need to go back to their roots.
Yeah.
And really think about what they stand for. Like, what are their core values?
Absolutely.
And are those values reflected in everything they do?
In the policies they support.
Yeah.
In the way they talk to voters.
Right.
Like, they need to really own that identity of being the party.
Of the working class.
Yeah. We have to show people that they're on their side.
Yeah, and that goes back to that question from the beginning.
Yeah.
What does it even mean?
Who does it even mean?
To be a working class voter today.
Right.
It's clearly more than just economics.
It's about so much more.
Yeah.
It's about those hopes and fears and anxieties.
Like, are you worried that the system isn't working for you?
Exactly.
Right.
It's about feeling like you're falling behind and nobody's paying attention.
And I think it's about recognizing that a lot of times economic anxiety is tied to cultural anxiety.
Absolutely. They're all connected.
Yeah. So you have to address all of it.
You can't just focus on one
Right.
and ignore the others.
It's about listening to people's stories.
Yes.
And making sure they feel heard.
And offering real solutions.
Yeah. Not just empty promises.
Exactly.
So is the Democratic Party at a turning point?
That's a big question, isn't it?
Yeah. Are these the same struggles they've always had?
Yeah.
Or is it something different?
Yeah. It's hard to say. I mean, in some ways, these aren't new challenges. Like, Democrats have been dealing with this for decades.
Yeah. But things feel different now.
They do.
Right.
The political landscape has shifted.
Yeah. I mean, Trump changed everything.
You did.
Right. And there's so much division now.
Yeah.
And people don't trust institutions.
It's a different world.
So can the Democrats adapt?
Well, that's what we have to see.
Yeah. Can they connect with these voters and offer them something to believe in?
Can they give people hope?
Yeah. Yeah.
That things can get better.
I think that's what Brown is trying to do with his message.
Like, he's saying we need to wake up.
Yeah.
And pay attention.
It's not just about winning elections.
It's about something bigger.
Right.
It's about connecting with people on an emotional level.
Right. It's about understanding their struggles.
Yeah.
And giving them a path forward.
It's about leadership.
Yeah. And I think it's about remembering that working class isn't just one thing.
Right. It's not a monolith.
Right. It's a lot of different people.
Yeah, with different experiences and different needs.
Right. And any political party that wants to win has to understand that.
Absolutely.
I mean, this really feels like a turning point.
Yeah.
Like Brown's loss and him actually talking about it.
Yeah.
Really, honestly, kind of shows how messed up things are.
It really does.
Right. Not just for the Democrats.
Right.
But like for our whole political system.
Yeah. This is about more than just who wins or loses elections.
Right.
This is about the future of our democracy.
Yeah, and we've been talking about this idea of working class voters this whole time.
Yeah.
And it's clear that it's not just about economics.
It's not just about your job or how much money you make.
Right. It's about feeling like you matter.
It's about being seen and heard.
Yeah, like you said, feeling like the system actually works for you.
Right. Feeling like your vote counts.
And feeling like the people you elect
Yeah.
actually understand your problems.
Exactly. And that they're fighting for you.
So as we kind of wrap things up here,
Yeah.
I want to go back to something Brown said at the end of the interview.
Okay.
He basically said he's not going to let these issues be ignored.
Right.
But I guess that makes me wonder, like,
Yeah.
what should be done differently?
What does it actually look like to stand up
Right.
for the working class?
Right. What does it mean to be a champion for these voters?
I think that's a question we all have to ask ourselves.
Yeah.
Not just politicians.
Right.
But all of us.
Like, are we actually listening to our neighbors and friends?
Are we having real conversations?
Yeah, even if we disagree with them.
Yeah. Are we willing to get out of our comfort zones?
Right. Are we just talking to people who think like us?
Are we challenging our own biases?
Right.
Are we willing to listen to people who have different experiences?
And are we holding our elected officials accountable?
Yes. Are we demanding that they actually do something about these problems?
These are really tough questions.
They are.
But if we actually want to make things better, we have to think about them.
We can't ignore them.
We have to create a system where everyone feels like they matter.
A system that's fair.
It's just where everyone has a chance to succeed.
Where everyone has a voice.
Yeah, and where the people we elect are actually fighting for us.
I think that's what it all comes down to.
Well, this has been a really interesting conversation.
Yeah.
A little bit depressing.
Maybe a little bit.
But definitely important.
Absolutely.
So thanks for taking this journey with us.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
We hope this has given you something to think about.
Keep asking those tough questions.
Yeah, and keep pushing for change.
And don't give up hope.
Thanks for joining us.